In this lesson, we'll be learning about gender and singular and plural. First, we'll talk about gender alone. So, in Spanish, gender is split into two groups. There's masculine and feminine. So, in Spanish, if you need to figure out if a word is masculine or feminine, all you have to do is look at the letter of the word. For example, in the first word, niño, it ends with an O. So if a word ends in an O, it's masculine. But on the right column, it's niña, and niña ends in an A, so it's feminine. Like another example would be amigo, which is the second one. So with amigo, you look at the last letter, which is an O, and if it's an O, you know that it's masculine. But on the other hand, amiga, you look at the last letter, it's A, so it's feminine. And sometimes the word doesn't always have an O at the end, but profesor, it doesn't have an O at the end. But you know that it has to be male because the female version of profesor is profesora, and that has an A in it, so it's female. So the rule is if a word ends in O, it's male, and a word ends in A, it's female. Now we're going to add singular and plural into the gender. So now we have 4 groups instead of 2 groups. And this is the version we always use. So we first started off with masculine and feminine. Now we have masculine, but we have masculine singular and masculine plural. And we have feminine singular and feminine plural. So with masculine, it's the same rule. It always has to end in an O. So masculine singular, like niño, amigo, hermano, gato, perro, chico, they all end in an O, so we know it's masculine. But when it's masculine plural, the word ends in an OS. So for example, niños, we can look at the word and we can see that it ends in an OS, which means it's masculine because it has an O, and it's plural because it ends in an S. So for example, if we take the last row, chico and chicos, chico would be masculine, but masculine singular because it ends in an O, but it doesn't have the S. But chicos would be masculine plural because it ends in an O and S. It's the same thing for feminine. Feminine singular, they end in an A. So like niña ends in an A, amiga ends in an A, hermana ends in an A, prima, chica, doctora, they all end in an A. But feminine plural, it ends in an AS. So like if we look at the first row, niña and niñas, they're both feminine because they both end in an A. But niña is feminine singular because it doesn't have an S, and niñas is feminine plural because it ends in an AS. So like chica and chicas, they're both feminine, but chica is feminine singular because it doesn't end in AS, it only ends in A. And chicas is feminine plural because it ends in an AS. Now we're going to move on to the verb ser. Ser means to be, and this is an ER verb. So like AR verbs, they have 6 conjugations, but we're only going to do 3. So again, yo is I, and the pattern is soy. So yo soy means I am. Then with tú, it's eres. So tú eres means you are. And with él, ella, usted, it's es. So it's he, she, or you formal is. So some sentence examples are like yo soy profesor, so I'm a teacher. Or él es mi hermano, he is my brother. Tú eres inteligente, you are intelligent. So basically, soy means am, eres means are, and es means is. You always have to remember those. You have to remember the conjugation, yo soy, tú eres, él, ella, usted, es. But you also have to remember that soy means am, eres means are, and es means is. So like if I wanted to say, I am smart, I would say, yo soy inteligente. But if I wanted to say, you are smart, I would say, tú eres inteligente. And that's like the second sentence. Now we're going to move on to the verb tener. So tener means to have, and this is also an ER verb, but like AR verbs, it has 6 conjugations, but in this video, we're only going to do 3 of them. So the first one, yo tengo, means I have, and then tú tienes means you have, and él, ella, usted tiene means he, she, or you formal have. So for tener, you use it to talk about age too. So yo tengo 13 años would mean I am 13 years old. Even though tener means to have, in age, you use it. But if I were to say like yo tengo un perro, that means I have a dog. But if I want to say you have a dog, I would use tú tienes un perro, because tú means you, and tienes is the pattern that goes with it. If I wanted to say she had a dog, I would say ella tiene un perro, because ella means she and tiene is the pattern that goes with it. So it's the same thing we've been doing. Yo means I, tú means you, él means he, ella means she, and usted means you formal. And you just start with the pronoun, you add the verb with the pattern, and then you add whatever else you want to the end of the sentence. Now we're going to move on to question words. The first question word is como, which means how. So an example is ¿Cómo estás?, which means how are you? And like an example response would mean bien, which is good. So all you have to know is como means how. The second one is cuántos, which means how many. So for example, if I want to say how old are you, I would say ¿Cuántos años tienes? So again, ¿cuántos means how many or how much. Años means like age. And tienes, we learned a couple minutes ago, tener means to have, and tienes means you have. So it becomes how old are you? And in response, you would say yo tengo 10 años, or yo tengo however many old you are. Next is quién, which means who. So an example would be quién es él, and we know that quién means who, and we know from the verb ser that es means is, and we also know that from our pronouns, él means he. So who is he? And then we can say él es mi hermano. So we know that él means he, es means is, mi means my, and hermano means brother. So él es mi hermano is he is my brother. And the last one is de dónde, which means from where. So we could say de dónde eres, which de dónde means from where, and eres, if you remember, is the tú conjugation of ser, which is you are. So from where are you is de dónde eres, and then we can always say yo soy de los Estados Unidos, which means yo soy is the yo conjugation, yo form of the ser verb, which means I am. De is like of, and los Estados Unidos is the United States in Spanish.